said, I will see you on the flip side. Peace.
All right, ladies and gents, boys and girls, it's your boy Ace K Baker. I got baby Grogu in the house, my protector, and today we're gonna talk about disrespect and how to deal with disrespectful people. Have you ever been in a situation where you've been disrespected before? And oftentimes, disrespect is one of the harder things we deal with in life. To give you an example, I believe anything in life between us as human beings is an energy exchange. From like the low frequency stuff of shaking somebody's hand when they're saying, "Good morning, Grogu," to you sitting in traffic, somebody blowing the horn because they're trying to merge in, and instead of letting you in gracefully, they're blowing the horn and annoying you and stressing you out. So if any of this sounds familiar, boys and girls, ladies and gents, stick with me as we're dissecting disrespect and how you can deal with it. Number one, hit the like button, the notification bell, the subscribe button so you and I can stay in touch when I drop a new video. All right, let's dive right into things. What is disrespect? I believe disrespect exists on a scale from benign things to things that are flat out hurtful, dangerous, character deforming, and really having an impact and are harmful to you, right? So let's start on this side of the spectrum. Oftentimes disrespect occurs in a very almost unaware / benign form, right? Somebody, while you're talking to them, is looking down on their phone and they're texting, right? So just not paying attention to you, ignoring you. On that sliding disrespect scale, number 2 is people who are talking at you, people who are talking over you, people who are misconstruing the words that are coming out of your mouth without asking clarifying questions, and then times and times again using those against you. Worse, people are ridiculing you, people are chastising you. And that sometimes happens into a private setting, but when the escalation goes up a notch, it often happens in times where you and your partner or you and a close friend are out with a group of people and your partner or your friend decides to ridicule you in front of that group of people. And that never feels good. You certainly don't need that as a friend. You don't need that in a partnership. You don't need that in a place of work. And so you're trying to remove yourself from the situation by saying, look, these are my boundaries. You will not chastise or criticize me in front of the group of friends. You will not chastise and criticize me in this tone that you're talking to me. Please respect that. I need to take a step back and reset. And if that is not respected, I think then we're really inching up the escalation scale, right? Because we exactly know where that progression goes, right? In the worst case, it becomes verbal attacks, and then the very worst of them all, and sometimes people argue that verbal and physical attacks both do a lot of mental damage. But when somebody is so disrespectful that they feel like hitting you, that's when we know like things have to change, right? So now that we ran through disrespect and the different types of forms of disrespect, let's take a look and see what we can do to attack and manage disrespect in our lives. Number 1, if the situation is not addressable in the moment, remove yourself from it. You always want to try to de-escalate the stress levels and increase your ability to think rationally, if that makes any sense. So why is de-escalation so important? Because it enables us to make better decisions. So de-escalation you can attack in multiple ways, right? You can take a few deep breaths, like to de-stress your nervous system. Another way of saying is like, look, I need a couple of minutes to talk to you. I think there's something that doesn't feel right. So you step out, you go for a walk, and you clear your mind. That's another way to de-escalating stress. If you have the time, maybe sit in a chair in your car, somewhere where you're alone, and you can just focus on your breathing and your meditation for 5 minutes. But anything you can do to calm the centralized nervous system, to de-escalate the way this disrespect feels, is helpful. So once you're in a clear state of mind, a couple of things you can do is you can say, hey, listen, thank you for giving me this moment. I don't think I'm currently in the mental disposition to discuss this with you. Or conversely, if you can say, hey, can we have a couple of minutes to talk this out in quiet? And I know nobody likes to be confrontational, or most people don't like to be confrontational because we do not want to appear to be needy.
Oh, maybe I'm just overthinking things. Or perhaps my first hunch wasn't the best. Maybe I'm just sensitive.
Oh no, guys, don't, and girls, don't put that on you, right? If your gut, if your intuition tells you that this behavior from a business partner, a spouse, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, perhaps even a friend, is disrespectful and it doesn't feel good, take a moment to pause and then assess and address the situation. I'll give you a very specific example. I've worked in different scenarios, and once upon a time, I walked into my old office, and my counterpart who was running the front desk, she and I had a really good relationship. One day, she's really stressed about life, but I had something urgent that I wanted to run by her. So I go up and I say, hey, listen, can you look into this and see what happened? And she's like,
what do you think I'm doing? I had all these things on my agenda today. I will get to it when I get to it.
and I said, wait a minute, I'm going to work after this, right? This is just supposed to be a place for me here where I work and where there's good vibes. I said, I don't like to be approached with a sharp tongue. Neither do I ever want to approach you with a sharp tongue. Can we discuss it? And so we stepped back. Another day we took a quiet moment where we had some one-on-one time, and I expressed all of this to her, and she in turn said to me, look, I apologize, I never meant to offend you. I just have so much on my plate, this, that, and the other. So that's maybe one other thing to think about when you're thinking about disrespect. Oftentimes we don't know what's going on in the life of the people we are interacting with, right? They could have had a bad day. They could have had a terrible day at the office. They could have lost their animal, their pet. They could have lost a family member. They could have had an accident. They could have gotten terrible news, which in general makes people less empathetic to your needs and superimposes everything that they deem important right now. And of course, that's the most benign and easy form of disrespect to fix. There are a couple of more things to think about when you're thinking about disrespect. It is important to understand, who does the disrespect come from? Is it a friend, a loved one? Is it a coworker, a business relationship, or is it a stranger? If that stranger is not worth it, don't engage, just walk away. It is simply the easiest thing of dealing with disrespect. Don't get into a fight, a knife fight, maybe even a gun fight. You don't know what the other person is carrying, what their intentions are, how bad their day was, what they're wielding against you. But if it's not important enough, just walk away from the stranger. Now with a coworker, I think you need to be a little bit more strategic, because you see each other in the office. So come up with a solution. There are tools like HR. There are tools like, obviously nobody wants to throw anybody under the bus, right? But there are tools like, your reporting system of somebody who is perhaps constantly annoying you. So don't let a coworker make your life at work miserable. Of course, the first approach should be, hey, can we talk about this? But if the disrespect continues, no, you're not alone. Talk to, your manager, right? Like, it doesn't just need to be HR and the tools that HR gives us. So then we're here in the middle with the coworker. But where it gets really tricky is loved ones and family. Why is family so tricky when it comes to disrespect? Well, because we love our family, right? If you grew up with family, most people know nobody ever wants anybody else to offend their mama, because mama is family. And as such, it is very difficult to deal with disrespect when it comes from family wielded against you, because typically speaking, you care what your parents had to say. You, to a certain degree, care what your siblings had to say. And of course, You care what your loved one, your spouse, your boyfriend, your future husband, wife in the making have to say to you. So the key then when it comes to disrespect in the family is simply this. Is fixing it and repairing it and putting the effort into it in the long run worth your effort? And only you can answer this question. If you love somebody, if you love your parents, if you love your mom, if you love your wife, your spouse, your husband, another family member, oftentimes the time and effort spent may perhaps be worth the effort, depending on how severe the disrespect is. But if it's simply not a matching of minds or opinions, you can address your parent. I'll give you a very concrete example. I used to come home from working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and I would pause in my car 5 to 10 minutes to reset my mind so that I could go inside the house after a stressful day and enjoy my kids. I brought my mom out here from Germany to help me with educating my kids and raising my kids because I was working a lot and I wanted my kids to learn German. But my mom made the mistake of trying to be my daughter's friend too much. And as a result, they disrespected her and steamrolled her. My mom then in turn came to me and said, "Your kids are horrible, Ace." And I said, no, we're not gonna have that. What's happening? So as she explains the situation, I said, "Mom, you cannot be the kid's best friend or a doormat and expect the kids to respect what you're saying. Because kids exploit weaknesses." So then this behavior of my mother continued where she was bashing my kids, and I love my kids, and I said, "Mom, you will now go home. I gave you 3 strikes. This is strike 3. You will go home and you will reset." Through this, I was able to save the relationship with my mother. Why? Because in that time, my ex and I hired an au pair to help us with the kids. But in that time, I had a conversation with my mother and I went over what is important, right? Like what I need, because I need my kids respected. I need my needs respected, that I know that my kids are not horrible, because nobody wants to feel horrible about their mom, their father, their kids, their spouse. We love these people. We don't want to hear negativity. So I walked with my mom over month and month through this whole long process of 1, cultivating gratitude, and 2, learning how to be more assertive with the kids while having a good time. Luckily, it didn't come to that. She took the teachings well. She was open to learning. She was open to be practicing gratitude and being more grateful. And so when we were able to break through and assert ourselves, and when I say ourselves, I'm referring to my mother. She continued to help with the kids, but was able to assert herself and give the kids rules more so than just being their friend. Things turned around. So, ladies and gents, boys and girls, I tie it all together now. We defined what disrespect is. We defined different forms of disrespect. Right, Grogu? We would never offend like that. We also talked about what you can do to assert yourself, right? How you can set boundaries, how you can be more aware of your own needs for respect. And I think these are really the key lessons, right? Learn how to set boundaries. Learn how to detect disrespect within your framework of what disrespect is. And then once you know what feels like disrespect to you, you can then be more mindful of setting these boundaries, what you allow in and what you don't. So if you want to learn how to deal better than with disrespectful people, learn how to set boundaries. Learn first of all how to understand what respect means to you and why you should command it. Ask yourself, am I living the best life? Am I a role model? Am I aware of what I need? Am I clearly communicating this? Right? Because if you have clarity, it is easier to determine this fits into my picture of what's right for me and this doesn't. And lastly, always know you can remove yourself from the situation if it feels wrong, if your counterpart will not stop, if it feels flat out dangerous, if it becomes abusive. Your first course of action should always be removing yourself from the situation, giving your head space to rest and reset, for your heart rate to calm down and to center yourself. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, I hope that helped a little bit. I hope baby Grogu and I were able to give you a little bit of perspective on respect and disrespect, and how you can build a better framework around it. And if you haven't already done so, please hit the notification bell, subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions around the topic, please leave a note in the comments below, and I will read everything and I'll try to answer as many of your comments that you have. Again, thank you so much, and I will see you on the flip side. Boom.